What's going on? This is the Pro Game Podcast hosted by MattyIce.
Coach Rob.
But today we got a guest. It's about time. It's been a while. Christian Batista.
Sir, happy to be here.
So I know Christian because I work with him. I've worked with him and his brother for the last couple of years that I've been here. I think the history between Rob and Christian goes back a little bit further, though, with how close they are.
Yeah, so basically, Adrian, which is Chris's brother, everybody loves Coach Adrian. He used to
Always.
work here, but
Real one.
now he has two beautiful twin girls, and he's working the dad life basically.
Yes, he is.
But no, it all started off with Adrian coming in here, working summer camp, and we found out he was from the Bronx. We found out he was Dominican, and like we clicked over baseball. I introduced him to the baseball instruction that we do here that led to other things such as working with the Ducks. He was my assistant coach for a few years, and then through that I had Chris as a player on that team. So good relationship with the family, and then now Chris is here working our camps. He's also new to the Ducks organization. He's an assistant coach on my staff, as well as someone that does all the camps and stuff. So it's awesome for you to be here.
Yes, sir.
And it's one of the guys we've wanted to get on here first. But it took us a while. We were gone for a minute, and it's funny because I didn't think this was going to be anything like crazy. And of course, we're not pulling millions of views, but I had people coming into work and asking when the next episode is going to be or what it's going to be on.
I get asked that question
And
all
it's
the
funny.
time.
It's funny because like we pumped it out so much with the promotion and talking about it.
Yeah.
And then once we put it out, the next 2 weeks of our schedule onward were opposite, where he was coaching every single day for summer ball. I was taking summer classes, and then I started fall classes. So my schedule on campus is opposite from his, where he works at school and coaches. But now we're kind of able to make it back.
Now that
to,
we're both in the fall semester,
Yes.
all three of us, honestly.
Yeah.
Now that we're in the fall semester, and I'm able to come here after work, and
I'm already here.
Yeah, he's already here. Thursdays I work at the Freshman Center in Brentwood. So as soon as I get out of there, I shoot over here, do my lessons, and then now we have time to record podcasts on Thursday. So you guys will get bi-weekly episodes. And
Yeah, I think
several episodes a month. It's not going to be once a month or anything like that.
I think bi-weekly is more realistic. I feel like record it, give us time to look through it, make sure this is something that we want to put out, not some BS. We're not gonna give it half effort. The big thing we're gonna wind up bringing up is football. We are 2 weeks in. This is a big one. This is it's hard to tell where teams are, but I feel like it'll be a good thing to talk about. I know the Colts are a big topic in New York, specifically because of their quarterback, Indiana Daniel Jones. They're 2-0. They haven't punted yet on a single drive in their 2 games. They've blown out the Dolphins, and it's one of those things where they could be legit or they could be a fluke. The Chiefs are 0-2. Are they legit on a downfall, or is that a fluke and they'll bounce back? And that's really what I want to talk about.
Real quick, let's go back to the Colts. All right, you look at the Colts, and usually whenever players go from one organization to another, right, you see a lot of these guys, they want to change. They need to change, right? And not to say Daniel Jones was a terrible quarterback for the Giants. Like
I think the team failed him.
Yeah, the team failed him.
For sure.
So, when they go over to a new organization and now you have them teach him a new system.
Yeah.
And it's catered towards his style of play and what he does best on the field.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's the success that he's having right now.
And I also feel like the lack of quarterback structure they've had over the last 7 years. Andrew Luck retired, and they had a 37-year-old Matt Ryan, a 38-year-old Phillip Rivers, Anthony Richardson, who can't stay healthy and has no discipline for the team. I think Flacco was on the team at one point where he was starting over Richardson. So they had a bunch of vets come in, and then an undisciplined rookie who can't stay healthy, who has a bad mindset. And then you bring in Daniel Jones, who, if you hate him for what he did in New York, but you can't deny his character. And he is one of the biggest class acts in the league, which is also why I was probably the longest supporter. Like, we, of course, have our man Eddie right behind the camera. He knows he's the biggest Giants fan I know. He knows better than anybody. I was a ride or die for Daniel Jones till he got released. I bought a jersey of his after he got released because of my support.
You know
Now-
what? When Daniel Jones was on the Giants are a franchise where you expect so much out of them, no matter how bad the team is, no matter who's at quarterback. It doesn't matter. The Giants are always going to be considered one of the most popular franchises in sports history.
It's a New York team.
It's pressure, and not a lot of people can handle that pressure when you go over to a team like the Colts, who you're never really expecting much out of the Colts nowadays in the regular season. Definitely not in the playoffs because they're barely there.
Yeah.
So it's like when you go to the Colts, it's like a restart. You get a refresh.
Yes, and he needed it.
Exactly.
He needed it, which is why I don't know if they're legit.
Now,
but I'd like
hold
to
on.
believe.
Do you guys? I gotta ask you this question. Do you guys think that the Giants weren't giving him weapons to go out there and play the way he's playing now? Like, do you think he's surrounded by better players in Indianapolis versus when he was on the Giants?
I think you can turn some pretty unknown receivers into pretty good players with the right structure around you. You look at Tom Brady. I know for a while he had Moss, he had Gronk, but you look at when he turned Chris Hogan into like a Pro Bowl receiver who didn't do anything outside of New England, or Danny Amendola, who was good on the Rams when they were in St. Louis, but
like with Brady, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about Brady. I want to talk about Daniel Jones and the Colts and stuff. But you look at Brady. Brady always had good slot receivers.
Yes.
And those were guys,
turned them into
something. Occasionally, Gronk line up either in the slot or in the tight end position on the line and stuff, because there's just more options with routes that they have.
Yeah.
So like you had Amendola and Wes Welker, Nate Hogan and Philip Dorsett. Like those guys are smaller receivers, but they also use their speed. So now they can run these slant routes. They can run the out. They can run, a seam. They can run a corner, a post corner, a post, whatever they want to run.
I just think if we're looking at the Colts, I think the pocket presence that he holds and the pocket they're creating for him holds more value than who he's throwing it to.
Okay.
I think there was
one
clip.
So protection.
Yes.
Way better
Daniel
protection.
Jones was getting sacked 5 to 8 times a game with the offensive line that they had. He was getting killed. He had no confidence in the pocket because he was never given a pocket to throw out of. He was scrambling off the snap because of how much he was being rushed in New York, whereas in Indy, he's getting 2 to 3 seconds more to throw the ball.
What do you think about
Honestly, I totally agree with what Matt had to say. Protection is a key thing when it comes to playing quarterback position in football. If you don't have protection, you can't throw the ball.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Yeah. When I look at the Colts receiving core and I look at just the players that surround the Colts offense, you look at Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the league. You have Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs, who are all young, high potential wide receivers who have shown lots of breakout plays last season. I think Alec Pierce was one of my sleepers in fantasy, honestly, last year. Honestly speaking, that's how I know this. That's how I know so much about the Colts receiving.
And Tyler Warren, the tight end.
Tyler Warren just got drafted, instant impact as a tight end rookie.
I think he's leading all tight aside from Tucker Kraft. I think he's leading all tight ends and he's leading all rookies in yards right now from receptions.
Now, you brought up a good point with these young players that they have and how they're going through the development stages. Now, as the season goes, these young players that are playing very well around Daniel Jones, being that you look at it, he is a veteran. It's not like he's a second-year quarterback. Like this guy has been around for a couple years now. You look at these young players that, Daniel Jones is throwing the ball to. They're only going to get better throughout the season.
Yeah.
All right. So now when you bring up the point, like which team is a fluke that's 2-0, or which team belongs being 2-0, or like that type of conversation.
The Colts could be up there
the Colts could be up there, but you have all these New York Giant fans that are like, oh, it's Daniel Jones. Like he's not gonna go out there and produce.
My thing is like when you look at the Colts compared to, I'm seeing I'm pulling it up right now. I'm seeing like the Cardinals that are 2-0, who they faced in week 1 and 2 were the Saints and Panthers, and they won by a combined 12 points against them and only put up 20 and 27 each, where you have you should at least have the guys like James Conner and Marvin Harrison. So it's one of those things where Indy could be legit because they have one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. They have a really solid offense that's putting up 30 points a game right now, of course, 2 weeks in. But then you look at the Cardinals, who are sharing the exact same record, who I have no confidence in going into week 3 and
Who's that
onwards.
again?
The Cardinals. I think a 2-0
Guy
start
can't
for
even see over the
them.
line, bro.
I think, it's one of those things where you look at a team like the Bills that are 2-0, they're a force. The Bengals, even without Burrow, Browning can get it done. Or if they sign someone, like they still have Chase Brown, Jamar Chase. Like they could still make it work.
But going back to the Bengals real quick, these guys like Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and all those guys, they have a relationship with how they play with each other and the experience that they have with each other. Now, Joe Burrow's hurt. Why every single season for the last 4 seasons have the Bengals either had a slow start or they've had a couple key guys injured?
Because they have no O-line to protect their quarterback.
But it's not even that. It's more than that.
They have a $270 million quarterback, and they have no O-line. For example, I saw this maybe a couple days ago. Andrew Luck retired. He was sacked, I think, 181 times in his career in 8 seasons with the Colts. Part of retiring was because of the concussions and the mental and the wear and tear of he had no O-line. He was running for his life. Joe Burrow, in I think a season less, has been sacked 21 more times. You can't leave your $300 million quarterback out there to take that beating. He's getting beat up more than Daniel Jones did in New York. So you're going to be stuck with a Jake Browning start every year because they have nobody to protect him. So when the playoffs come, he's banged up already. They made that Super Bowl run, and that was it. You have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who won't take pay cuts, Trey Hendrickson on the defense, who won't take a pay cut. Whereas you look at a team, and you got to bring them up, even if they're 0-2, the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce restructured their contract. Chris Jones restructured their contracts at least 3 times in the last 4 years to free up over $10 million in cap space each to build the offensive line for Mahomes, to build the secondary to withstand the Bills and Josh Allen.
Well, now I see that Xavier Worthy's out too.
Yeah, but it's a dislocation.
But honestly, like, you look at who else that affects. Joe Burrow getting hurt all these seasons. You look at how that affects now Jamar Chase, who could be one of the wide receivers that we talk about for a very long time, even after he retires. Now, how does that affect his legacy, his ability to win a championship? He can't add these milestones to his career because the organization is just not providing them enough help to do that.
That conversation is going to turn into how many would he have won if he had a healthy quarterback or a healthy enough O-line to protect his quarterback?
Or even what if Jamar Chase didn't stay with the Bengals? Like, people are going to wonder these things for a very long time.
A wide receiver can only be as good as the person that's getting them the ball. If a wide receiver is a one-of-one talent, but nobody's getting them the ball, they can't show out. Malik Neighbors last year had 4 different starting quarterbacks of Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito. I don't even know the other 2, but they were bottom tier guys that shouldn't even be in the league. It's one of those things where it's like, and he was still showing out every week to show that he belongs. Where you show Jamar Chase, who can't even show out, where it's like, it's a concern. Where, they're 2-0. They're also a team I worry about. Joe Burrow, if they get surgery on that toe and that foot, he's missing at least 3 months, which means he's not coming back till at least Christmas. That's playoff time. And if they're running Jake Browning until then, I see them as a sub 500 team. And I think they're a fluke at 2-0 because Burrow's gone.
And then another team in the same situation where the quarterback just can't stay healthy, yet you have all the pieces to go far, and they're just not doing that, is the Dolphins. Another team that we wanted to talk about here today just because of
They're
Are
terrible
you
start.
starting to panic now as a Dolphins fan, as the Dolphins organization? Are you starting to panic, and are you going to start trying to find out the reasons why you're not winning football games?
I would. I think they have Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. Their defense has always been banged up, I feel like. And then they lost Javon Holland. I don't care what anybody says. That's a good football player. I love Javon Holland. I think he's actually solid when he plays. I think that they have a very banged up defense. They don't have a winning mindset. Mike McDaniel and God, what's his name? Mike Greer, the GM for the Dolphins, whatever his name is. It's one of those things where they don't have a winning mindset. They don't have a discipline. Same thing with the Giants. Brian Dable came in 2022 and was guns blazing, and they made the playoffs with a winning mindset. They were hungry. The Dolphins, the first year of Mike McDaniel, they were experimental, getting Tyreek Hill. They were an experimental team. They don't have discipline. A team that lacks discipline will not go far, no matter the talent. There was a press release today that I saw. Teams are cutting meetings in Miami, and apparently they were doing it when they were winning games the last couple of years, but they're 0-2. They got blown out by the Colts. They're losing to the Bills while we're recording this. They're 0-2. They have no signs of life. Tyreek Hill is nowhere to be found because Tua can't stay healthy. Tua can't throw the ball more than 40 yards in the air. That's a team that should have hit the panic button in the preseason. That's a team that, if I'm a Giants fan, I feel fortunate about my situation. That's a management situation. That's a management situation where the front office has to go. And I mean every single person. I think there's not a salvageable piece of that team that can survive aside from maybe the players on it. I think a new coach has to come in there, raise hell, and force every single person to be disciplined and actually show them what a winning mindset is. And until that happens and until they're willing to do that, they will never sniff the playoffs. They will never sniff the top two spots in their division again, because the Patriots will always be there with Drake May becoming like he's an up and coming guy. The Bills will always be there for as long as Josh Allen's up there. Even the Jets will be better because they have guys like Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. The Dolphins will always be a bottom four team that will continue to hit the panic button every year. That will never amount to anything. And a similar team I think of is the Bears. I love Caleb Williams and I love Roma Dunze. I think they are very talented. I think they are very good players. I think it's a management standpoint. I also think it's a lack of care for the players. I think it's a discipline thing. I think it's the same case as the Dolphins. They suck. Any Bears fans, any Dolphins fans that are watching this, they suck. They are bottom of the league in production. They're bottom of the league in winning mindset. They are horrible. It dates back to years before I started watching football when I was a kid. Those teams have been trash.
Now, what do you think about how the Patriots look, being a 1-1 team? And now these are two teams that I think in the AFC, like they could be underdogs, like
Who are we thinking?
they could sneak one past Baltimore, because I still don't believe in Baltimore
I
in the
can't, because
playoffs.
they can't beat
Yeah.
anybody that contends.
And then, you also have like the Bills and the Chiefs. We'll get to the Chiefs in a sec. But look at how the Patriots and Steelers are playing their brand of football, especially the Steelers. Like, and this is a point that I brought up before. Like, when you get a new quarterback, a quarterback that comes into a new system, Aaron Rodgers looks pretty good. He is not looking like trash. Not like everybody thought that he was gonna not be good after his Achilles injury.
My only concern, and I think, Christian, I want to hear what you think about it as well. The Steelers are going all in on a team that can't go all in. They're going with the classic Mike Tomlin effect.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is old. DK Metcalf is getting old. Jalen Warren's cool. Caleb Johnson, their rookie that they just drafted, can't feel the ball on the kickoffs, so they're benching him from that. So he's still not sniffing the field. They're in an all-win mode with like a sub-wild card team, whereas the Patriots are building around Travion Henderson as their new guy in the backfield, who hasn't done much, but he will. Drake May, who's in year 2. Stephon Diggs, right? Stephon Diggs is a Patriot now. Stephon Diggs, who's the veteran behind that team. They have an up, like you got Christian Gonzalez. You have a solid enough defense and secondary.
They also have
They're young.
Coach.
They're Vrabel's that winning mindset that I'm telling you about. He brought Tennessee to the AFC Championship. He brought that team past Baltimore. He brought that team to contend against the Chiefs when they won their Super Bowl in 2020. That's a coach I would want, and that's a young team that's sitting in a similar boat as Pittsburgh, but you have a veteran team that's old and will fall off, whereas the other end in the same boat is young. I mean,
And I mean, to give you my opinion on the Steelers, they're always going to make the playoffs. Their defense will take them there. I think defense is very important when it comes to winning games and winning championships in this league. As of right now, you can't win with a mediocre defense. You're going to have teams like the Chiefs. You're going to have teams like the Bills. You're going to have teams like the Ravens who are just going to apply pressure on you on offense. And if you can't keep up, if you can't stable them to less than 30 points in the game, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
I think that's the case that the Steelers have been in for years now. Jalen Ramsey, who just came in, had a very impressive game. I think he had 2 very impressive games. He's showing out, but once again, Aaron Rodgers, he's not in his prime.
And Ramsey's also getting older now. He's been in the league for a decade.
They can't expect much out of Rodgers. You're going to get that one game. You're going to get that 2 games where he's just out of his mind, just looking like he's his prime self. And then he's just going to go right back to being the Aaron Rodgers that we know
currently. I mean, it's one of those things where you look at week 1, he drops 34 points on a Jets defense that we all think to be solid. But then you look at week 2, and the Bills dismantled that. Josh Allen got pulled in the 3rd quarter with his nose or whatever, and also they were beating the Jets pretty bad. The Jets, I saw this because my buddy's a Bills fan. John, if you're watching this, Bills Mafia, the Bills had more first downs than the Jets had points. The Bills had more points than Justin Fields had passing yards. The Bills had more of everything you would want in a football team than the Jets did in every way, to where it's just a beatdown every time they face. So you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers and you're like, oh my God, 34 points. He's back. Everything in New York that you didn't see, he just brought to the table in week 1. And then you see Seattle beat up on him, and they only dropped 17 points. And he looks all right, but he doesn't look like week 1. He looks like New York Jets Aaron Rodgers. So you can count them as a sleeper team to make the wild card, but you can't count on them to drop more than 15 points in a wild card game, and they'll get dismantled by the Bills again, or they'll get dismantled by the Chiefs again, because their defense can't stay on the field that long because of the offense being poor or lackluster. And it's the Mike Tomlin effect. He'll never have a sub 500 season, but they will never win anything more than a wild card game until they just enter a rebuild. They need to accept that either Tomlin has to go or they have to rebuild, and he has to lose that perfect 500 or more record, because you cannot win a Super Bowl. You can't sniff past the wild card round with the roster that the Pittsburgh Steelers has put together since 2018. They haven't been a good contender since at least Antonio Brown wasn't a nut job, which was a long time ago.
Listen, man, when it comes to that AFC, I can tell you confidently, I can put everything on it, my house, anything that I have. The Super Bowl will contain a team that is either the Ravens, Chiefs, or the Bills for years to come, and there's no proving my mind otherwise.
The Chiefs have been there every year.
The Steelers just aren't going to do anything if they don't decide to switch things up. I don't see the Bengals doing anything anymore. I truly believe in the Bengals a lot after defeating the Chiefs that one year, but they're not doing anything to change the fact that they're not winning football games.
Not at all. And you don't have your quarterback protected. Your window's closing. A lot of these teams' windows are closing, and the young guys are coming up. Now, one thing I will say about my bias, the Giants are 0-2. I personally don't think there's a panic button to hit other than you need to fire your defensive coordinator. You need to fire the whole front office. I think it's been a failure since they came in. I love Daniel Jones. I think that extension was a joke, so I think everybody needs to be fired for it. I think the DC needs to be fired. 40 points to the Cowboys.
Just get rid of everybody.
You score a 48-yard bomb. Russell Wilson throws for 450 yards. They drop 37 points with 25 seconds to go, and you let Brandon Aubrey get in field goal range because you play 3-men prevent defense with 10 seconds left from the 50-yard line. How are you still getting on the plane back to New York? There's not a panic button to hit if you're the Giants. There's a fire button to hit, and I think he needs to be gone. The left tackle, James Hudson, needs to be gone because that's not a mindset I would want for a team or a player of any kind. 4 penalties consecutive. 2 of them are unnecessary roughnesses. One of them I get he was probably egged on because he was getting held to the ground. But don't lose your cool. You already lost it for the last 3 plays. Like, what are you doing? So you fire those guys. You have Neighbors. You have Russ. You have Dart. You have a really good vibes guy in Jameis Winston. You have Wan'Dale Robinson, who I've been trying to see get going for a while, and finally 8 receptions for 160 yards or 120 yards, whatever it was. Fantastic game. You're 0-2, but aside from week 1, you have a good offensive performance that you didn't think was possible after week 1. You fine-tune some things. They're at least an exciting team to watch while they're building up potentially a future. That future doesn't go anywhere with the current front office they have.
And you know what? I want to ask you your opinion on this because I know a lot of people have been talking about it recently, especially after training camp. What is your take on Russell Wilson versus Jackson Dart? Because I know after week 1, I was convinced, I was ready to say put Jackson Dart out there.
I know, yeah. As a firm believer in giving the rookies time to develop, I still Russell Wilson is one of my favorite players of all time. I have defended him when he was on the Steelers. I have defended him when he was on the Broncos. I defend him as a Giant. I think you let Jackson Dart sit behind him the entire season. I don't care if you're 0-14. I don't care if you're 0-16. You let him sit behind Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a Super Bowl champion. He is one of the top 3 like active rushing leaders as a quarterback, and he's like 35. He is a veteran presence that you need, just like Jameis Winston is a veteran presence that you would need. But Russell Wilson has the talent to lead him. And if you give him time to develop, he can turn into something. Tom Brady, I hate to bring him up, but he is smart. He said it best. These rookies need time to develop, especially at the quarterback position. They are drafting these guys way too early and putting them in way too early with no veteran there to guide them.
But you look at how quarterbacks were coached back then.
Yeah.
Right? All these guys were sitting for a couple of years. You know, like think about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had to sit before he got in there and started a game and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Brady, same thing. Drew Brees, same thing. Like these guys need to gain the experience.
When you look at a team like the Giants and Russell Wilson throws for 450 yards, he has 131 QB rating, and they're blaming the loss on his egregious pick in overtime. The defense allowed 40 points, and their left tackle, the backup left tackle, cost them a drive where Cam Scatterbu led them to like the goal line, and it got called back. And they had another 15-yard rush. Got
Can we
called back.
talk about Scatterbu for
He's
a
awesome.
Oh my God!
Listen, I'm a Tyrone
Listen, when he runs the ball, it's not like he's there to juke you and all
he's
that.
going to run through you.
He's going to try to truck you.
And people aren't going to want to tackle him.
And we have not seen that. I guess I wouldn't even consider Derrick Henry that yet, just because Derrick Henry is stiff arm and speed.
Derrick Henry has the speed. Scatterbu has the power.
Yeah, Scatterbu is like he'll lower his shoulder
juggernaut
and pop a 265-pound line,
and he's not going to stop.
And he's not going
Cam
to stop.
Scatterbu, for those Giants fans that are going to watch this, specifically, I feel like my Uncle Mike that would watch this. Brandon Jacobs. Brandon Jacobs was on the Super Bowl winning Giants 2 times in 2008 and 2012. Brandon Jacobs is the closest resemblance to a Cam Scatterbu that I could think of, or Cam Scatterbu to Brandon Jacobs. The physicality, the sheer aggression. I think Brandon Jacobs is, of course, more of a beast than Scatterbu ever will be. I think Brandon Jacobs is double the size of him and was a monster. But the Giants have lacked that since then because you had, after him and Bradshaw, you had Rashad Jennings, who was a speedback, Shane Vereen, who was a speedback, Saquon, who has power but was mainly a speedback, who has the agility. And then you run into a Tyrone Tracy. I mean, Wayne Gallman was a speedback. Like, Tyrone Tracy's catching passes out of the backfield as a speedback. Cam Scatterbu is the closest thing we've had in the last 12, 13 years since Brandon Jacobs was running through people on that team.
Yep. But now think about, with a guy like that in the backfield, how much better Russell Wilson's going to play.
Yeah.
Like, look at when he had Marshawn Lynch, who was also a power back.
Yep.
A guy that would run over players and just keep going, keep fighting for yards. Like, now the pressure isn't on Russell Wilson to convert on a short third down.
Because you hand it off to Scadaboo.
Yeah,
And
you hand it
plow.
off to him, and he's running like a fullback.
I think.
Honestly, I think that is what Cam Scadaboo has that Daniel Jones doesn't. I think guys like Cam Scadaboo, I think guys like Russell Wilson, I think guys like Malik Neighbors just fit the culture that the Giants have so well.
The history that they do.
I saw Carmelo Anthony's speech, his Hall of Fame speech. That was honestly one of the best ways you could put New York sports in, and it was just honestly like fantastic. He talks about the grit that you need to have, the responsibility that you have to just carry New York on your back.
You need the character for it.
Well, not even that. New York is just a huge market.
New York
like
is
in
huge,
any sport,
in and out.
You know, you look at hockey, you look at baseball, you look at basketball, football. Like, it's a huge market. Everybody that comes into New York, there's no in between about having a decent season. It's either you fail terribly,
or you're winning it all.
You're winning, not winning, but you're succeeding. Right. All right.
Yeah.
So hopefully Russell Wilson, being that he's a veteran and being that he's surrounded by younger guys that can play and that can go out there and ball, probably elevates his game a little bit.
I think what was so good that the Giants organization did was New York cares if you're either winning or they see signs that you are trying to make a change to win. You pick up guys like Cam Scadaboo in the offseason. You got Kayvon Thibodeau recently. You got, who's the rookie? Abdul Carter. He's honestly looks like he's going to be great for years to come. Like, you have all these guys, and they're making these moves to get these guys.
Oh, yeah.
It shows that they want to win, unlike this team like the Dolphins that we said earlier, the Bears that we said.
There's so much room that they need to improve that I can't really think of where to start if I was a team of theirs. Like the Giants, you fix the DC, Shane Bowen. If you're watching this, you need to leave. You need resign, step down, leave this team alone. There is no reason why a line of Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau should not be the best line in all of the NFL. So there is a reason why I need you gone from the team, and that's the reason. There is no reason why you should be playing prevent defense against the Cowboys with 30 seconds left. There's no reason why you should give up 40 points to the Cowboys. But, like, the Giants have the chance to win in the future. I don't think in the next 2 to 3 years, but I think maybe when I'm getting older, maybe when I'm like, 27, maybe when Dart's getting older, maybe when Dart's like year 4.
You can't
put a timetable on it either.
You also can't downplay what Russell Wilson could be capable of.
I agree with that, but I also can't
as the
ignore.
Season goes on, like, they're going to figure it out. Some of these teams just need time.
The hardest part to analyze the Giants, though, is you have a 1-year Russ deal it's not even a prove it deal. It's a veteran deal. He knows going into this, it's a setup Jackson Dart deal, but leave everything on the table because you're the veteran. Do what you can. But you look at the Giants' schedule, and they have the ranked hardest schedule. Their games, Sunday night, they face the Chiefs. They face the 2-0 Chargers. They face the Saints. They face the Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, then Bears, but then it's Packers, Lions, Patriots, Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, Cowboys. Wow. There is maybe like 2 games I can realistically see them win just because of the strength of the other team. I believe if the Giants had a better schedule, they'd be a fringe wildcard team with Russ and possibly a dark horse that I'd look out for. Right. But with the schedule they have, it's not possible.
You know what? Yeah. Honestly, I think it's, as much as I'm an advocate to see Jackson Dart play, to see him succeed in the Giants uniform, I just think with that schedule that you just listed off, have Russell Wilson do his best. It's one of his last years where he's actually good as a quarterback. You let him play these teams who he has so much experience playing. Yeah. If he fails, he fails. If he succeeds, he succeeds. But if you fail, you still have the ability to play now a new rookie quarterback next season, play much better competition for him, succeed, and not have that bad image of being a bad quarterback and have fans overreact. You have Russell Wilson finish out, give him the best that you can, and then later on, when Jackson Dart doesn't have the pressure of facing all these top teams, let him succeed is going to be a recipe for literal success.
I just feel like, real quick, the hardest part about that is watching Giants fans and watching the front office openly state that there's a chance that they'll put in Dart this season. There is not a reason why you should, no matter the record. They have the hardest schedule. I know it's like, oh, well, he's going to face that team eventually. Not in a lost season. You're going to give that kid no hope. You're going to kill that kid's confidence, and you're going to kill his ability to play football before his full season as a starter would even happen.
It's kind of like what happened to Mac Jones.
Yeah.
You look at Mac Jones, like they just threw him into the fire. Like they didn't have a consistent coach.
They didn't have anybody for him to throw. Then N'Keal Harry was
Yeah.
their wide. No disrespect, but like N'Keal Harry was their wide receiver one.
Yeah. That's it. You can't have that, especially with the quarterback. It's a waste of talent. You waste a high draft pick on someone who you know can change your franchise, but you don't give him
Build around him.
exactly.
But the
You don't give him
Giants, I
resources.
believe that they are building around him. I feel if Andrew Thomas ever gets healthy, that can help. But Cam Scadaboo is a good person to add around. Malik Neighbors, Wandale Robinson, maybe Theo Johnson. He doesn't know how to catch the ball, but maybe Theo Johnson, if he can grow. Maybe it's Giants tight ends because Evan Engram couldn't catch the ball for them either until he left. So maybe it's a Giants tight end developmental thing. But they have signs where they could really be good, but not this year. Russ can steal them some games, but Russ can't bring them anything
Yeah.
further than a 4-win season in my eyes.
Absolutely. So
That's a second episode, a long overdue second episode in the books. But we're gonna be here more. I know we said bi-weekly, but these football episodes are gonna be weekly.
yeah,
We're gonna record them. They're gonna be out. They might be out Sunday. They might be out Monday, but they will be out so you can watch them and just hear what BS we got to share about football. Baseball postseason coming out. That's going to be within the next couple weeks. We're going to be covering that. I hope the Mets make it, and I hope they win it all. I don't think they will, but my delusion hopes. That's
we
another
also
episode.
got these new sick hats with the Junior Ducks that we're all rocking today.
October's coming up in a week and a half.
Right,
Breast
so-
cancer awareness.
You know, I know our team's gonna be stoked when we hand them out tomorrow at practice.
This is a fantastic hat. I mean, breast cancer is a big thing. I hope that everybody shares the awareness that they can and shares the research that they have. I love that we have these. I wanted to wear it, and of course they were able to do the same.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give that quick little shout. Christian, thank you very much, my man.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Anytime.
Like I said, if you guys want to see Christian on more, if you want to see my man Eddie behind the camera on some episodes, we'll get him in as well.
Cameraman Eddie style.
Yup, don't forget the name. This has been real. This is the Pro Game Podcast hosted by MattyIce, and
Coach Rob.
we'll be here, still lock in with us. We're not going anywhere. We're just figuring out some scheduling while we're going along the road. Join us. We'll see you later.
Yes, more episodes to come.
Peace.